There we go. All right, that's a lot more better. All right, I was having a little bit of issues before. I mean, typically that's why I don't really like doing live videos like these, but there's a reason why I'm doing one like this now. Also, yeah, you can see a good old Falcon from last Captain America movie just kind of having a fun time swirling around. So I just thought I'd say that in case you're wondering why you see that. Anyway, yeah. So let's talk about Ultraman Omega because why not? I mean, it's been a while too. I haven't really talked about anything Ultraman related in quite a hot minute. So, all right, I'm gonna give it a few just to see if the anyone will appear in the chat, and then we'll kind of begin. I guess first things first, one of the reasons why I decided to kind of do this live, it's because instead of doing like my typical normal videos of just me sitting around talking about whatever, I figure maybe I get, a little bit of opinion from you guys as well, just kind of get an idea because I'm willing to admit I had a little bit of some mixed opinions when I first saw the trailers for Ultraman Omega. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was still pretty excited, but like not excited, as usual. There was a couple of things where I was like, this kind of bothered me a little bit. And at first, I felt like I wasn't really obligated because, to be very honest, I haven't really seen the previous series, which I kind of feel bad for saying that. I'm pretty behind for the most part. But every entry in the Ultraman series from this point, it's like each one, they might seem similar, but there's always something pretty different. So I don't think you have to watch the previous series to kind of understand what's going on now. They don't really do it like that per se. Not to mention, they're either part of a continuous storyline or maybe it's part of like an alternate universe per se. Like with Ultraman Trigger, where it's like it's supposed to be some sort of alternate universe, where this world has like their own version of Tiga or something like that. I don't know. It was a little bit confusing, but honestly, the show was pretty decent for what it was. I was honestly pretty surprised. And I was also surprised to see so many people complaining that it's pretty much a worse version of Tiga, which, I mean, just because he's a Tiga type, that doesn't mean that they were trying to directly copy from what they were doing. But obviously, I could see maybe certain things here and there, so it's understandable. I get it. So with Ultraman Omega, I guess I'll start with my opinions because originally I wanted to talk about it. Oh, we got some people. Welcome. We're talking about Ultraman Omega. So initially, when I was thinking about doing this video, I wanted to talk about how I felt before the first episode really came out. I was really judging it just based off of the trailers alone, and the reason why there was a couple of things that bugged me was obviously the synopsis of what the series was about. Alien, comes from a distant world, and this alien just so happens to be, of course, an Ultraman. And I remember thinking, isn't that kind of like Ultra 7? Because that's kind of what they did a little bit, per se. Maybe not exactly, but, I was like, okay. Kind of wondering what the story is going to be about. Haven't gotten to the Ultra series, Omega, but yep, I will be on my birthday. No, that's good, and that's the thing too. I was like, should I talk about the show or should I talk about the toys first? Because as always, Bandai, they're always putting out something for it. They always got some good stuff. I mean, obviously, I've been pretty lacking in Ultraman figures lately because the only recent ones that I bought are the action figure ones per se, the one that costs like $25, pretty much. Not the ones that you're probably talking about. Birthday's on August 29th. Ooh, that's a long time from now. But hey, hopefully I hope you get that figure. Especially too, I can only imagine with like I don't want to get political, but with like terrorists and stuff like that, I can only imagine getting those figures now is probably a little more harder. I mean, my eye's been set to some other stuff, so I don't know. I don't know how much more expensive they've gotten so far. And of course, I did posted it on my community tab that they actually did put out a couple of figures for the monsters and all that. I mean, I'll talk about that soon because I actually did saw the first episode, and admittedly, I was actually genuinely surprised. It was actually a lot more better than I thought the series was going to be. But this is just the first episode, so it can either go up or go down from here. So we can't really judge the series as a whole, even though my opinions at first wasn't exactly like, what I was skeptical. Pretty much, that's kind of how I felt. I'm just waiting for the right to tell my parents what I want to get. And no, that's fair. No, that's fine. Yeah, that's fair enough. And like I said, these figures, they sell them from like, you could check out the Big Bag Toy Store. I know sometimes they do have those Ultraman figures. And of course, you could go on the good old eBay, but then of course you're going to be trapped in an unfortunate situation where you're going to be paying a lot just for one figure. Trust me, I would know. But we're not here to talk about the toys just yet. I just want to talk a little bit about the show. So like I said before, It reminded me a little bit of like Ultra 7 because the premise was that obviously he's an Ultra, that lands on Earth, but he kind of disguises himself as a human. He pretty much creates sort of his own persona, which was called like Dan. Wow, I can't remember the last name, but I know his name was Dan. That's from what I could remember because it's been a while. And obviously, the whole idea is a bit differently because Ultra 7 focused heavily a lot on like alien invasions and all that. There were even some episodes where he didn't even grow big at all. He just kind of beat the bad guys just like that. And that it was kind of sort of meant to be a kind of more serious series per se, which I know is kind of weird, but remember, this was before Ultraman Leo. We all know how crazy that series is. I love Ultraman Leo. I mean, it is nuts with the tonal shift. But as for Ultraman Omega, I mean, for the most part, I mean, you could kind of get a little bit of an idea. I mean, I'm not judging it too much because, like I said, it's only just the first episode. But my impressions so far, I mean, I was surprised. It's pretty decent for the most part. I was generally surprised with how, even with how it started with that battle, finding those weird bug things. I mean, that was cool. And even to the special effects, the CGI has gotten way better. At least slightly. It's gotten slightly better. Ultra Omega reminds me of Ultraman Zerf. That is true, yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't he also have that kind of that weird mohawk thing, the slugger thing or whatever? I don't even remember if he does that. I know Ultra 7 does. He definitely has that ability, the slugger. Man, I keep forgetting the name. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, but that's why he uses the mohawk. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, that he uses to cut the enemies in half. That was honestly one of the best things in Ultra 7 was that he would just slice the hell out of the kaiju. So, I'm hoping we could definitely see more of that in Omega, especially with some of the weird bad guys too. We gotta talk about the kaijus too, the designs. I love how they're kind of like they're definitely being creative, but not just like trying to, it's not that the creatures are meant to look like cool looking, but I like how they also got that really weird one with the giant head and all that. And I'm like, that's just classic Ultraman. Because if you watch the old shows, you would know how Graham is my favorite kaiju. Oh, yeah. I mean, like, that's what I like too, is of course adding that bit of a charm where it's like, yeah, remember, these are guys in suits, and it's like, it doesn't always work perfectly. Obviously you got some like top tier designs here and there, but I love how once in a while we do get like one that's like maybe slightly goofy, and maybe obviously not as goofy as like Ultraman Toro or even Leo, because I remember with those they went a little bit way overboard with the designs where it's like, okay, it just looks way too fake at that point. But here obviously that's not the case, but I could kind of see what they're doing, especially with I'm just gonna call him the kaiju with the big head because that's literally all I see, honestly. Do you like the Recness armor? I know I do. Well, that's another thing that oh wow. I mean, thank you for reminding me, because I knew that there was something, especially with like their transformations and all that. Because I know one of the newest things that they introduced for the past couple of years. I mean, even like way back, we're talking like maybe even Ultraman Ginga. Like how they always got like those weird alternate forms as well. Especially Jeed. They used to do that a lot too. Have those different abilities when they combine like different powers from like other Ultramans and all that. Because we know that Jeed is like a combination of like the original Ultraman and then Ultraman Belial. And then, there you go, you got Jeed, right? So obviously I've noticed the thing with the armor too. It's like instead of creating like a full on completely different costume and design, yeah, they do like that weird kind of armor thing, which I don't mind that. I think that's good that they do that because it kind of changes things up a bit, so it doesn't feel like they're doing the same thing over and over again. And of course, at least they're not doing the whole palette swap thing, which I don't know if you guys know what I mean by that. Also, that's my dog, in case you're wondering why is that thing moving up. How's it going, Team Kong fan? We're talking about Ultraman Omega, so I mean, there isn't really too much to talk about because, like I said, I'm not here to kind of judge the whole series. I just kind of wanted to give my initial thoughts and maybe just kind of see what you guys think. But for the most part, I mean, it's good to be wrong sometimes because, like I said, I wasn't too crazy about like sort of the premise and like what they were going for. I'm not saying that it was going to be a downright Ultra 7 copy or anything like that. But like the example I used with Trigger, I know a lot of people, I mean, I was shocked. I remember seeing that. A lot of people were like, they really didn't like Trigger, which I'm like, are you kidding me? Trigger was awesome. I loved Ultraman Trigger. There was some things here and there where I was like, especially the one with there was that one episode too. I forgot who it was. It was the Malaysian Ultraman that he was in it, and they made a whole episode just based off of that, and then they start singing and dancing. I'm like, okay, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being goofy like that once in a while. Don't get me wrong. I know Ultraman, even the old series too, they always had that kind of charm to them. I can't really use Toto as an example because I feel like that series was kind of sort of intentionally meant to be a little bit more on the lighter side and goofy, especially with that one kaiju that kind of like dances and all that. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but like we're talking like back in that old era. I'm curious about the new Ultraman. Well, if you go on it's like the official Ultraman YouTube channel. They actually did premiere the first episode of Omega, so if you want to check that out, it is subtitled though. That's the only thing. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I mean, once in a while I get around with it. When I'm in the mood for it, if I want to watch something that has subtitles on all that, it's fine. I could definitely sit down and stuff. But if I'm like exhausted or something like that, I'm like, yeah, nah, I can't. That's why it took me so long to watch Godzilla -1. It took me such a long time to finally get to watching it. I even bought the freaking Blu-ray, so I'm like, finally, I can watch it in peace because we did have Netflix for a short time, but money reasons, obviously we couldn't really keep it for long, but you get the idea. But no, if you wanted to watch Ultraman Omega, you could definitely check it out on their YouTube channel. And they obviously they do a lot more things too. They do like small little specials here and there. I know they got like their own little web series and all that, which for the most part I think Mill Creek, that's another thing I had to talk about too. I want to talk about that a little bit. I know that with the previous series, I don't think Ultraman Arc, I don't think they got a Blu-ray release yet. But Ultraman Blazar, they definitely got their own release, which that's pretty good, especially considering like, Blazar came out like, well, I want to say like not too long ago, but they came out, some time ago. So it's like, okay, it's good to see that they're up to date. So, it'd be nice if like after the series is over, we could get like a nice little release of that. And there goes the dog. Hey, Lulu, you want to be in the video? I don't know. Hey, you want to be a part of the discussion? You want to give your own thoughts? That's okay. That's all right. Are you excited for the Spider-Man brand new day next year? Oh yeah. I mean, listen, as a hardcore Spider-Man fan, of course I always look forward to anything Spider-Man related, but the fact that the Punisher is going to be in it, you know what? Save that thought. We'll definitely talk about that in another video because I was genuinely shocked when I found out about that. So anyway, yeah, back to a little bit with Ultraman. Yeah. So I was again. So I almost forgot what I was talking about. I'm sorry. Yeah. So I know with Trigger, I remember a lot of people were kind of complaining that it just felt like that they were trying to rip off the success of Tiga, because obviously that's like, of course, one of their most popular Ultramans. Well, for the most part, during the Heisei era. Obviously, that goes more towards Mebius. If you ask a lot of people, like, what's their favorite Ultraman during the Heisei era, a lot of people will definitely tell you Mebius, which it's not hard to see why. I like Mebius, but he's not my favorite. Not because I don't like the character, but mostly because, I mean, this is kind of a stupid complaint, but it's mostly because I know that a lot of the enemies they fight, really, it was meant to kind of like, I don't want to say pay an homage, but a lot of the enemies that he fought were, of course, mostly from that era, from the 60s, the Ultraman there, and they even made like their own appearances. Even Ultraman 80 was in it, so I could kind of see to an extent why people like Mebius a lot. But in the case with Trigger, a lot of people felt that they were trying to copy too much of what Tiga, how it was with Tiga. Because even some of the storylines and some of the things kind of cross in between one another. So it's like, okay, you could definitely see, like why these comparisons are made, because there are some similarities. Like I said, with Omega, I'm pretty sure that they might go in a bit of a different direction. I don't think they're going to copy a lot from Ultra 7 or even the other ones like that. I don't think that's the case at all. I think this is just people jumping way too much into conclusion. But that's just me. That's just how I feel so far. Let's not judge it yet, because that was the only thing I was just a bit concerned about, where it's like, okay, so it's another like Ultra 7 situation a little bit, okay, fine. He came to this world, trying to figure things out, creates his own human disguise, and stuff like that. But for the most part, I mean, we can only just wait and see what they kind of got going on next. So, only time will tell. Yeah, so I guess, I mean, there isn't really too much to kind of jump on. The reason why I just, I wanted to do like a chat thing here, just kind of see what everybody else thinks. And I think it's nice to kind of stir up some conversation so we could kind of talk about this sort of stuff. I should definitely utilize this more often too. So I guess I'll give it maybe a few more minutes and then I'll just kind of end it here because it's kind of hard to talk about the series a little bit after just only watching one episode, especially like only like after just one watch too. It's like, okay, definitely might need to watch it a couple of times. I mean, don't get me wrong. If Subaraya is nice, maybe they might do an English dub in the future. I mean, that'd be pretty good. But I think that depends on like how successful the series is too. Because very rarely do they actually give English dubbing for the most recent Ultraman series. It seems like they kind of pick and choose a little bit because I know that for I think the Ultraman Genghis movie, I know for that one they actually did give it an English dub. Not the best, but it's not the worst I've heard. So I'm not one of those people that kind of gets aggressive with that. But I think the fact that we can actually watch this series, without having to kind of rely on somebody uploading the episodes, because that used to happen a lot with like the old Ultraman series, where it's like somebody will upload the entire series of Ultraman Ace, Ultraman Toto, Leo, even 80 at some point, but then those videos get taken down, probably most likely due to copyright reasons. So at least we don't have to deal with that mess anymore. And of course, with Mill Creek, making Blu-ray releases and all that, hopefully they'll start doing more of that stuff in the future. But only time will tell because for the most part, they did like almost the entire library. Like if you wanted to watch even Tiga too, if you want to watch that, even Dyna or even Ultraman Guy, if you want to watch those, you can. Depending on how available they are, though, that's it's a different situation though. Amazon is your friend, go buy them on Amazon if you're interested. So I guess that's about it for now. I know I'm a little bit behind on certain things, but now that we're back up and running. So, wow, that's terrible, especially when I'm live. Anyway, yeah. So I'll definitely do a lot more videos like these kind of discussions and all that in the live chat. In the meantime, there is a couple other things I would like to talk about. Some of it, of course, gaming related. I would like to talk a little bit about Resident Evil 9. Of course, action figures wise, we gotta. Of course, I know I've been behind on those hunts and all that. We'll definitely get back into that. A couple of more surprises here and there. So I'll talk about that in another video. We gotta talk about AI again too. That's another problem. So we definitely gotta talk about that again because Mattel, they're doing some stuff and I don't like it. So until then, thank you guys for watching. As always, leave a like and subscribe, and that's about it. And nobody else. So, all right. Now that the chat is empty, we'll end the stream here. So, I'll see you guys next time.